little bit meaner. I know that was one of the things we were looking forward to. Like, let's be honest, we got another really nice plane path coming in this time.
It's pretty much exactly the same.
Oh, let's be real. It's hard to have a bad plane on this map because
there's no such thing.
You can make it to any part of the map you want to go to.
Yeah, obviously the plane not as much of a factor here. You can stretch much further, obviously, because the map is just smaller. So I don't think we're going to see any switch up here. We're going to see the same teams head to the same drop spots, unless, you know, somebody wants to take somebody off the board early on.
I was just keeping an eye on Drassel's doing a little bit of an interesting drift off back down. We saw that McCoy went back over towards Cave last time, but looks like where we see Vanish, where they're making the play over, Drassel wants to keep an eye on them, so a little bit of a rotation back over the other part of that.
I mean, this is pretty typical. We see Ghost Drop in 3 in a line, kind of north of the compounds that Drassel is going to loot now. So he usually comes down to the edge of the terrain there on the water, which is where we see these pop shots fly across to vanquish loot the other side of the water.
Player 1 Esports back over here next to the quarry. It's interesting loot position to play at, and depending on how you decide to play around it, you can see that there's tons of stuff just on top of everything. But it does kind of slow you down to a certain degree, having to jump around all the different, like, I guess, quarried rocks and find everything inside of it. Circle, almost opposite of what we saw last time. Now, the first time we saw it cut out that island, now it's predominantly around that island.
Yes, and this is where it gets interesting because the majority of teams obviously dropping over to the eastern island. So we've got these 3 bridges that ultimately are just going to become massive choke points for this if it does continue shifting over there.
We often talk about on Erangel, there's that river that goes across the north, kind of bisects through as it makes its way through Georgia Pool. So you end up with all these little mini bridge camp positions that teams kind of post up in. Now, we've just got a plethora of bridges everywhere, all posted up in different spots, so everybody has to keep an eye out for different bridge camps. But I just want to say, one thing I noticed, people love to wear the banana suits inside of PUBG, but the only team that it actually fits color-wise is Space Station Gaming, so it makes sense. It's almost like they're wearing jerseys.
It's like they're wearing in-game jerseys, yeah, matches their player tag color. But again, actually, weirdly enough, yellow is one of the more difficult colors to spot on Sanhok for some reason. But again, the same thing for Miramar. So lots of players now adopted. We see Lazarus and the United as well, obviously picking up the yellow tracksuit, but definitely more suited to SSG.
Lazarus back over here next to Cal, so no big rush for them. They're right on the edge of the circle, so they really only have to make way forward like 500 meters. Lazarus, very prone to be we talked about, passive towards the beginning parts of the game. Meanwhile, Taylor J already on the move, going to be running back over there next to Sonics, but going to go ahead and claim himself a nice little I don't know if he's going to stay here or not. Is this where he's wanting this? It looked like he was thinking about cutting in and breaking there, but I guess so.
I mean, this is a compound, actually. If we do see a shift over to this island, which is looking likely, this compound kind of sits under the rocks to the west. And there's this compound at the top, but there's all this space that gets denied by this awful kind of rock terrain.
But it's kind of dangerous with as predominant as we see grenades inside this meta. Having, I don't know, another complex just above you just seems very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and ultimately they can pick over for free because you don't have the opportunity to get third party from anywhere up there. So it can be really difficult. I'd be surprised if a United settle for this compound.
Just as long as you're inside the buildings and you never leave. But look, Purdy Curdy taking a couple of shots early. Going to get a little bit of damage over towards Pat Caps, but Pat Caps going to relay that information over. It looks like the rest of the team is just going to go ahead and commit to running through it. But Endemic is going to hear this and is right next to Lazarus.
Yeah, and actually this other member of Lazarus, I'm not sure, it's Uncivil, sorry. He could actually get pinched into this compound. We're going to see Envy make it across the bridge, so Purdy Curdy actually trying to put some more pressure onto them, but they do manage to get away. Now we see Envy coming towards the United. So this is the problem with these vehicle rotations on Sanhok. Ultimately, you have to send it, and you're going to end up driving past 3 or 4 teams.
Just commit. Full send right now. Looks like Balefrost is also committing in his own way. Was looking back over there towards this and opting away from it right now.
Yeah, Envy are coming back to the compound.
Yeah.
So Balefrost has to back off. Shuru is there for some support. Whether or not they can get an opening knock here, Envy could get backed into this compound.
Envy's already across the road and in position to where they can actually be on outskirt spots. You can see them across the way. Balefrost is kind of in this point position for the team. So slowly and steadily, United is just encroaching into this. Keep in mind, we've seen there's a lot of grenade openings inside of these buildings, a lot of different places to hide. So if we actually see United pull off this trap, it would be huge, and Envy's gonna regret it. There you go. First one is down, and that's gonna be Moody. No follow-up as of yet, but a grenade should be able to just take that down fairly easily.
I mean, the problem here is this compound, none of these buildings have walls. They're just big shacks. So ultimately right now, if United can get this knock moving close enough, they can just nade out these buildings.
but the push is coming from so many different points by E United. It's really hard right now for Envy to figure out where it's coming from. So Balefrost kind of got spotted out. A couple of bullets going back his direction, but as he draws all the aggro back over here, this is allowing Shuru and Taylor J and everybody else to reposition around this. Taylor J's pretty far out there right now, but looks like he's finally starting to make his way back down this hillside.
Yeah, and actually, we're going to see Envy looking aggressive at Interrogate, getting some tags onto Shuru, not taking more than 20 HP off. Balefrost actually getting the knock onto Pride. This is huge now. United need to capitalize on this.
Oh.
Interrogate replies with a knock onto Balefrost.
That was a very brave push back over there. Stab's taking a lot of damage. Interrogate's just holding the line right now. He is just the last member up for Envy, and everybody from E United is just slow pushing on this. Taylor J's going for the spray back over towards it, trying to push back up next to these stairs. You can see Interrogate's just playing around it. You got to be cautious. You can shoot underneath of these buildings. So now it's a peek battle, back and forth. Interrogate on one side of it. Taylor J, the latecomer into this from E United, looking back around for it. So, Taro, what do you got? You got the vehicle in front of you. You does hear the footsteps from Taylor J around the side, taking a couple of shots on it. Gotta be very cautious onto this. Looks like Taylor J is gonna play on the outside of that building, ops away from it, as you can see. Now Pride's getting flushed out. Everybody was just peeking around on the Shuru, takes a lot of damage. Taro's just trying to survive onto this, so Taro's just clutching this up as hard as he can right now, just trying to survive while Taylor J is trying to go for the res. Are we gonna see Taro be aware of it? The shots are gonna come through, but the res does come through as well, trying to get a little bit more. Does get the return down, but it does not matter in the end, as E United manages to take that.
Yeah, but I mean, they shed a lot of blood there throughout that fight. Envy ultimately buying a lot of time for Lazarus to come across this bridge now, coming with a third party. E United now backs against the wall. They need to get these reses completely reset from that fight.
Lazarus is moving over by...
Lost just drowned.
So now looking back over there towards
Terry just drowned.
Uncivil now jumping back over onto this. E United, they took that fight, but there was a lot of cost involved in it right now. I don't think that anybody's gonna be able to make it over there and get the res off of it, so nope. It's just more and more members going down as E United is just out. They're leaving this.
Yeah, Lazarus timing that perfectly to come across the third party there. I do want to know what just happened with Rumblers because 3 of their members just drowned. So, no comment. Until we know it's something else, no comment.
So keep an eye on that as E United does go for this little lower area. I would almost want to say cavern, but it's not. I guess it's just got a natural stone bridge across the top of it. So Taylor J's looking around. I think that he did spot them out. So now him and Balefrost very aware. Okay, this is our home. We don't get to leave here anytime soon. New circle pops, and it's going to stay towards that northwestern island.
Yeah, and this now, obviously, for Lazarus, getting across the bridge and E United pushing out to wipe Envy now. It's forced them away from this compound.
Look at Vegas and Ghost down in the boat, way down to the south of the circle.
I was about to say, look at Vegas and look at Waldo. So we now know what happened with Rumblers. We're going to see Waldo actually deny as well, drown himself out. So that's Rumblers going out in 15th. Looks like SSG were just holding them. Wow, okay. Kickstarter just got 3 kills onto Vanquish, and Vanquish are out in 14th.
Bringing up the vehicle to provide coverage. You see that? That was like right up into it. Not going to deny the sight line, but there you go.
So it's 3 easy kills, pretty much 3 kills for Kickstarter there. Just peeked over and blew the vehicle up. So, I mean, great start for Wildcard. Obviously, picking up 3 kills like that is what a team like Wildcard need. Obviously, they've had a rough start so far. So, picking up 3 easy kills is going to kind of build their confidence going into the late game.
And this is kind of one of the reasons why you can't lean into scrim results. Whenever you move to this stage and everybody's playing the top of their game, they're really feeling the momentum. Things you got away with in scrim are not going to pay off. So
this
where are they going to go?
Could be interesting because Lazarus occupy most of Hartin, and then we have Wildcard over to the west of that. So ultimately, SSG could get held out on the north side of this island, but it looks like Lazarus have pushed far enough south to they're not going to hear these boats. Actually, Uncivil is looking this way, so I think they are perfectly aware SSG is just pulled up on the docks.
I mean, they have to be aware that it's going to be a weak point for them. Uncivil does see it. Hasn't opted in and taking the shots yet. I mean, this is kind of smart. He could wait to see if they actually push up towards him.
Wait for them to get in the open and then take the free kills. That's what Lazarus need to do right now. Need to make sure that SSG can't spot out any Lazarus members so that they can counter, obviously, this push into the compound.
Looks like they're trying to play that high ground position next to the rocks.
Here we go.
Uncivil follows up with the sight line again. Nobody, I think, has been seen as far as from Lazarus. Really, it's just Space Station Gaming being very, very cautious with this. Uncivil finally decides to take the shots. Is he going to get the down onto it? No, he's not.
Valier has to drop down to the water, though, and this now takes one of the players from SSG out of the team fight completely. He's going to have to drop down here, get meted up, and actually, Uncivil does get third party from Pistola over from Wildcard on the far side, on the far west side of this island.
Lazarus has gone for a little bit of a reposition now, looking back over towards this naturally valued, doing his little bit of a swim around. There is one member pretty far forward up for Space Station Gaming that might be able to get into a nice sight line from this. It's all about how Alo plays this.
Jason can head throw all the way up on the compound, so... Yeah. I mean, Lazarus have actually allowed SSG this space to get up towards the north side of Hartin, so I'm pretty surprised by that because Lazarus had the information to stop that.
Ghost has managed to make landfall as well, and they were over here next to Wildcard. So Wildcard's Pintillo is just going to hop inside of his vehicle, get that motorcycle back over next to his friends. Naturally, McCoy's going to hear that, but not a lot to be had at this point because just due to sight lines, can't really capitalize off of it. Kickstart's going to follow back over, but look at the direction they're heading. It's right back over here next to the Space Station Lazarus fight we were just watching. Well, I also want to say wave. They're just kind of waving at each other at this point. They took a couple of shots at each other and been kind of calm since then.
I mean, it's interesting because Pistola Time was obviously third party in this. Whether or not Wildcard are aware that SSG have pulled up where they are, because they're going to have better sightlines than Lazarus are ultimately, but Lazarus stops Wildcard from pushing over onto SSG. So we have this weird three-way fight that can't really happen until one of the teams makes a move.
Look, Kickstart isn't expecting anybody to be at the beach right now. He's still surveying across those high sight lines we talked about. That's a big factor that happens in this map. Your eyes are just naturally drawn to where you expect people to be rather than where they're actually going to be at. So new circle pops, stays right on the main island. No big surprise. But that big party that we have going up towards the north, almost none of it is inside a circle. So we're going to have to see how everybody moves.
And actually, this is a big factor now because this three-way fight, as we jump on board, Nerf shutting down Kendo, trying to push into this compound. I was just going to jump back to this three-way fight here. There's a compound in between Wildcard, Lazarus, the SSG ultimately have an opportunity to move into, which would be, you know, a split right in the middle. They could ultimately get pinched, but it's the only real play they have into the circle right now. They can't push hard in because they have to run, you know, 150 meters in the open to get there, and without a knock, that's nigh on impossible.
It's going to be kind of interesting is depending on the push that we see Wildcard take, they might just opt into going more towards
Here
center.
you go. Yeah.
Which could reveal that opening side for this. Space Station Gaming can kind of push around onto this, but really with the speed that we see everybody moving at, it's going to come down to Uncivil. How much can Uncivil really see from this position? Is he going to be able to feed that information back over and slow down Space Station Gaming?
Yeah, and ultimately, I like the awareness from Valier, but he's drifting way far off here. Alo actually has a position. Headthrow and J-Sang, I'm not sure they're aware that anybody's actually over to their east. J-Sang's looking over that way, but they're waiting to play spoiler right now. And the fact that Alo is also hanging back to kind of play anchor for Lazarus could actually come back to bite SSG in the ass.
And let's not forget, remember, E United got forced away from this position beforehand. They're down underneath of that land bridge that's above them and that little divot in between the high ground spots. So if anybody gets pushed out of that, that's a usual escape and could funnel right into E United.
Yeah, no, we do actually jump back on board here. Ghost manages to get into Camp Alpha. We do see Riot Squad occupying the buildings over on the east side of the road, just coming out. Ghost still on 0 kills, but again, they still got 4 up. As I say that, McCoy absolutely deleting later.
Just go up and close the door. It didn't happen. You just closed the door and it didn't happen, right?
Actually, it looks like we're going to see Ghost get aggressive on this. So this is really interesting. If we can see one of Ghost actually blow the door open, we can get a nade inside this shack.
But VZ's across. He's in Camp Alpha right now, and he gets the shots, goes ahead and goes for the flush onto this. So that's one down and out coming out from Ghost. He's kind of holding the line back over there. McCoy hits a lot of damage back into it until VZ is now down as well. Ghost continuing their push back over this. Holding the hard angle is going to be Shrimsy just looking back. He knows where everybody's at.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're obviously the QBU, probably one of the strongest guns in PUBG. McCoy shutting down VZ there. Ultimately, VZ's job is not to go down there. He's just there to stop the push. Obviously, getting the kill onto Vegas is great, but he just needs to reset for the rest of his team there. So I'm surprised he over-peaked on that.
Well, I think it comes from a quick response from McCoy, because McCoy dropped down right next to that piece of cover that nobody from Riot Squad would have any angle on except for VZ.
Yeah, VZ saw it, though, and that ultimately there, you don't need to re-peak that. Your job is to stay alive, effectively. So a bit disappointing. VZ's going to die for his mistake, but Riot Squad should have an opportunity to hold Ghost in this, depending on the next circle shift.
If you had told me that we were going to have a Camp Alpha ending inside of these circles, but nobody was actually going to be in Camp Alpha, I would have not believed you. But got Ghost that's trying to push their way out of this. Meanwhile, Space Station Gaming just trying to cross. Lazarus still caught up in a little bit of that skirmish. Remember, they're outside in the blue, still just trying to make their way over. Lazarus is positioned up and just patiently waiting as Wildcard did rotate in that hillside way over to the left side of the screen.
Yeah, and this is the problem I was saying. Headshot and J-Sang obviously trying to play this late and play spoiler on Lazarus's rotation. Ultimately, Lazarus had a spread wide enough to kind of play time on this, and now we can see J-Sang and Headshot now are stuck in the blue with Wildcard just ultimately out-rotating both of these teams.
Haven't had a chance to really look at it, but you can see Sanhok's got that high ground position and is really making life difficult for a lot of these guys as they're rotating around. Tony V just has a beautiful sight line back down on the team as they're just trying to find some form of cover, and he is just holding that angle. Meanwhile, back to Space Station Gaming, just really wishing that they don't even care about space right now. They just want to get out of the blue.
Yeah, and I mean, this is rough to see. Obviously, Valiant and Baja opting to rotate over west, and ultimately they got shut down by Wildcard, who had great sight lines down to them. But like I already said, Wildcard just out-rotating both of these teams.
So Lazarus looks like they are going to manage to make it to the safe zone. Right up in front of them is going to be Endemic. Going to go ahead and go for that shot, which is going to be interesting because that could draw Endemic's attention back over towards Space Station Gaming. It's going to be falling back behind this. You can see finally making it out of the blue, and then their friend is coming up to say hello again as now they have to run right in front of it. So I'm kind of surprised off of this. I would have thought that Space Station Gaming would have been a little bit faster on the move based off of their positioning, but they're just having to run as quick as they can, trying to go for those buildings that you were talking about that could be occupied earlier. Yeah,
and actually Kurt's going to get the knock onto Jae-Sang and the confirm, so unfortunately, again, second Sanhok game, and things kind of falling apart for SSG in this fashion.
Interesting spread coming out from Lazarus. So with that down, now Lazarus can potentially try to regroup. It's going to be about how positioning comes out for Space Station Gaming, specifically Hetror. You can see the cross is coming back over. They're trying to meet back up. Perdicardi is looking back over towards Endemic right now. So with everybody kind of getting caught in this own skirmish, that's allowing Hetror to try to cross back over next to that wall.
Yeah, I mean, he should deny here, but whether or not he's going to choose to, I don't know. There's not a lot of value.
I think that he's inside the zone right there. If he gets right up on the edge of that wall, I think that he's safe.
I think you might be right, actually. Yeah, he is just in on the edge of this wall. Again, going to live another circle. I mean, he can pray for a north shift, but...
pray nobody looks at him from the other side.
Yeah,
right now he's totally vulnerable from that. But with this, Lazarus is still kind of caught up and looking into him. And this is kind of one of the problems with this map, specifically with how often we see third parties. Oh, stepping up and going for that peak's a little bit ambitious there. So that's going to be Hetror going down. Lazarus now, I'm just getting their res back up.
I think maybe what happened there is one of the SSG teammates has called out one of Lazarus got knocked, and Hetror was maybe just looking to secure that one last kill point, which would be huge in that situation.
Oh, Tony V looking back down at Tempo Storm, just getting ripped apart again from this high ground spot. Meanwhile, Taylor J and E United get bumping into Genesis. Remember, we saw them down here a little while ago, so Taylor J goes down, but it's going to be Balefrost trying to hold the line. He goes down as well.
Unfortunate there for Bell. He did get a nice spray, actually, onto Profi. Got some good damage off the K-Mine as well, but they are going to get the res here. Ultimately, now Genesis in a really rough spot because this is effectively just one big valley that runs between these two big hills.
Endemic, this is not the valley you want to go into. Hits a shot back over towards K-Mine. Genesis looking back down through this. Grenades are going to start getting prepped out from Endemic. Surely they have to assume that K-Mine's going to make the push right back going towards this wall. He's trying to get a little bit more meds off. So neither one of these teams inside the safe zone, and I don't believe any part of this little valley is inside the safe zone, so they're going to have to fight their way through this. Now it's turning into a little bit of a grenade battle as K-Mine's trying to go for the peek off to one side of it, but look at Nerf. Nerf using that vehicle might find a sight line back over towards this. Relo's trying to retreat back away from this. Has to be so cautious.
Yeah, and actually the fact that Endemic still have nades causes a huge problem for Genesis because they have to run through this, effectively this gauntlet now with the two members of Endemic just holding with nades. We see Wolf as well, he's still got two nades left.
Underhand toss, trying to roll it back down the other hillside.
That was good.
Got to be very cautious. K-Mine just narrowly survives through that. Has to be very careful. Other grenade does not connect with him. Nerf does go down inside of this, so the res is coming up. Meanwhile, Endemic is like, okay, we've got him pincered, but how long do we sit here? The blue's coming in. There's potential points, but we're dead either way. We've got to figure out what are we gonna do here? I
mean, they should just hold it. Profi actually with a great opening knock onto Reload. That's actually huge for Genesis. If they can shut down Wolf on the right side, they might actually be able to fight their way out of this.
Blue is assisting them right now. Sure, they're going to be able to get their way out, but what can they get next? Really, you can see that it's just Crispier off to the side. Genesis just trying to run ahead of it. Look at how much blue damage is coming through. They have to check every single rock as they run through. K-Mine does go down. Steps up. Endemic does go down, but they're not going to be able to catch up to the blue. That's going to be Profi going down. Can Nerf at least make it back over there?
He's just running along. Makes it in. No.
I don't know. It looks like it's going to tick down, and there we go. Genesis does get the kills, but that's going to be it.
I mean, great consolation prize there for Genesis. Obviously, getting the kill points out there. I mean, it's not great that Endemic couldn't hold Genesis out there, to be honest.
All right, McCoy, you're doing your battle against the blue, the greatest enemy of PUBG. Just going to continue to try to tank it through. Meanwhile, Sonic's got themselves that high ground spot. We've been seeing them harass everybody. 6 kills at this point. Now looking back down towards Lazarus, they do get circle favor again. So now everybody is just going to have to run the gauntlet of bullets that they can throw down at them.
Oh, good shot from Keenan there. Actually tagging with the M24. Looks for the knock onto Uncivil. Unfortunately, doesn't hit that one, but I mean, Lazarus now in a really rough spot. We can see Sonics have a great spread up on the top of this hill here. It's going to be really difficult for Lazarus to get up.
There's so many damaged squads that are down around. Nobody's really committing to pushing towards Sonics or being at all aggressive. Really, it's Wildcard's the only ones that can do it. And they just get ripped apart by later off to the side of this. Added to spin back around, get a little bit of damage. But that's 2 members right now of Wildcard that are down. And Riot Squad just looking back up. Sure, Wildcard got the inside line on this, but now they're going to have to defend it from the push coming up from Riot Squad, which they do manage to do. They do get it down onto Mystery off the side. Actually, David does.
Yeah, it's actually David, the solo from P1E, is still alive on the south side of the circle. I mean, this is tricky now for Riot Squad. They got some opening knocks onto Wildcard. Kickstart now swinging around, looking for David, because they see that knock into kill feed. They know that somebody's over on the south side. Ultimately now, Riot Squad need to just make a push out of the compound, use the time into their advantage.
Lazarus is just trying to get any foot that they can inside the safe zone, just trying to creep around the outside. It looks almost like they're just trying to do a couple of sacrifice plays, just trying to provide some form of cover. A lot of damage is going to go down. Tickleton is going to go ahead and take down Alo. Meanwhile, David is still raining death and destruction back over towards Riot Squad.
Yeah, and actually, Protege now in a really rough spot because he can't come any further south and later can't actually apply any pressure to either team that are holding him right now. David's actually going to get a knock onto Kickstart there, a free knock onto Kickstart. Actually, I'm not sure why they forgot about David.
But look, Sonics has had to pull back away from this just a little bit due to the damage that Lazarus has managed to put out. So it looks like at least Uncivil could get a foot inside the safe zone.
And actually later pushing up to Nade, he does get the confirm onto Kickstart, stealing that kill away. And actually now Adam, the last solo from Wildcard, now having to play pro next to the rock.
So Adam, you do manage to get inside the safe zone, but at what cost, buddy? He hears the footsteps coming up around him. He knows he's got an enemy on both sides of him, so he's just huddled into this little bit of a divot off to the side of the hill, seeing if he can hear anything that's encroaching around him. David, I don't know if you're going to be able to make it in the safe zone from there, buddy. You're just going to have to move forward with it. I think it's going to be all about how David has to move off of this, or if he just chooses to deny. But here we go. We've got Keenan holding the angle. Here's Lazarus. They've actually pushed up past him, so shots are going to come through from the other members of Sonics. Now he's just going to peek back around onto this. Go for the spray. He does not get it. Nice shots coming out from Purdy Curdy.
I think Keenan had his gun on single there. That was really unfortunate. Does get traded out. Tony gets the second knock onto Kurt there. Later, and David die into the blue zone elsewhere. But right now, Uncivil is the last hope for Lazarus. He just needs to snake his way into this final circle and hope that Loki and Sonics end up fighting.
So Sonics are looking around, trying to figure out where that one last member is, trying to decide if they want to go for the res back over towards Keenan. They're sitting on 9 kills at the time. Last member of Lazarus is off the side point for this. Got Loki. There's just a whole bunch of solos that are hiding out and around this.
It's now. Oh my.
Oh, that was a valiant attempt there, but Adam is somehow clinging to life on the side of this. He's just looking up, going, yeah, there's nowhere for me to go off of this position. Just embrace the blue, let it hug you. Let it give you the warm, tingly sensation that was just the sweet embrace of death. And
bye-bye.
Bye, Adam. There you go. Now we drop down to 3 teams, 6 alive. So 4 of those are Sonics and 2 others.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a story of high ground on Sanhok, unfortunately. Obviously, we're now going to see... Actually, Uncivil getting the opening knockdown onto Wooly. Ooh, nearly getting the second, but unfortunately, Tony again coming in with the AK, shutting down Uncivils finally. We now just have Chubba Bubba alive for Loki. He's just going to... I mean, he should be moving now. He should see that knock and ultimately been playing to capitalize on that, but he's going to try and slow walk his way in.
The timing coming up for Sonics, that every single time they get into one of their fights, it's whenever nobody else can aggress into it. So Chubba Bubba is just kind of playing for position right now. He should spot out one, goes for the spray, and that is just quick denied from Keenan. He just flicks back over onto that.